You're watching Less Than Epic's coverage of the Overwatch League. Enjoy the show.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Weekly Picks. This week we are jumping balls deep into week 1 of stage 3 of the Overwatch League. That's right, 10 more weeks between us and the Overwatch League playoffs. Exciting times are happening in stage 3 as we will see a different map pool with Blizzard World introduced. We will also see a different stage playoff format. This time we'll get 4 teams into the playoffs. Interesting stuff. We've also seen some players move around teams, and everyone is geared up for that big announcement Blizzard will make about the new event in Overwatch. Check that out during pregame. Last thing to touch on in this episode is the last stage's winner for the picks from LTE. However, this time we were unable to crown one person. That's right, we had a tie between Radded and myself. Woo!
Boo!
Losers.
Congrats, Rad. I'll get you next time. And with that, we shall kick off week 1, stage 3, the Overwatch League. Kinky.
Alright, so we got a banger of a first matchup. We got Shanghai taking on Dallas, and Reddit has gone ahead and I think taking a giant leap of faith and taking Shanghai over Dallas in this one, with Nova and myself taking Dallas.
Honestly, I don't think it's a bad pick. I told Reddit I almost went with it also, but I just got to go with what we know.
Yeah, I've just been looking up the stats on all of their new players. I mean, Geguri is one of the best players in the world. She's coming on. Otto is, seriously, one of the best Genjis in the world. I think he's like top 15 or something. He's amazing. There's no reason why he should have struggled as much as he did. And Fearless, their new tank, an amazing tank player. I think that when this crew actually has time to practice together, which, believe me, they will have been for the past couple of weeks, we're going to see a new Shanghai. I think this is their best chance this stage to pull off their first win ever, and I want to be behind them when they do it, so let's go Shanghai.
They'll definitely get a win this stage. I just don't think it's happening game 1 of week 1. And with that, we will move on to game 2. It's between the Valiant and the Seoul Dynasty. And in this one, we all picked the same pick, with Seoul Dynasty winning. This game should be maybe interesting, as Seoul's been taking a little bit of a hit lately, but Seoul is clearly the better team in this matchup, with Valiant not doing so great.
In our last game of day 1, we've got Gladiators versus San Francisco. I've liked both of these teams. They had some pretty good stories from stage 2, but Gladiators, with that tank Fissure, if you watched our MVP videos for stage 2, Fissure was our tank MVP for stage 2, so an amazing tank and an amazing new Gladiators. We've all picked the Gladiators because of that.
Moving on to day 2, we're starting off with Florida going up against New York. And we've been pretty impressed, I'd say, between the three of us, of how well Florida has been playing as of late. That being said, they're going up against questionably the best team in the league against New York. We all picked New York unanimously on this one.
They are the best team in the league at this second. Alright, nobody wanted to respond to that, so we're going on to game 2. They will respond to that statement later, I promise you. Game 2 will be Philly versus Boston. And in this one, we are split. You can probably guess that I picked Boston and the other guys picked Philly. I almost went against Boston here. I have hope, though, that they can pull this out. Plus, I can't always pick the same as the other guys if I want to beat Radded. But honestly, Boston's been playing really well. They sucked really bad the first couple weeks of stage 2. They started to get it back together. Their DPS players are just top notch. Their tank play is very good now that they got their tank back. I think they have a good shot at the playoffs in this stage.
So what he meant to say is, I'm a fanboy. Have you ever picked against Boston? Ever?
I think so. I'll go back and look, but I'm pretty sure I did.
No, but Philly, obviously, almost taking the crown. They really gave New York a ride in the playoffs of stage 2, and they would have deserved the win if they got it. But I don't know. I don't think Boston is up to the task. I really don't.
So good news. I did pick against Boston in stage 2, week 2, when they faced New York.
No, there you go. But to piggyback on what Radad said. I mean, Philly did go up against New York and brought him straight to him. They also beat London, who I don't think anybody would argue that they probably would have beaten New York if they had ended up playing them in the Stage 2 finale. But Boston still, by the end of Stage 2, I mean, they got some wins in Stage 2, but they didn't really beat any really good teams. They're still struggling to find their identity post the Mercy meta. I'm not seeing it click yet. Like, I see them get some wins, but they're not meaningful wins in my book.
They beat the Gladiators.
Okay, and the Gladiators are still, they're much improved, but they're still on their way, climbing into the top tiers of the league, right there with Boston, arguably.
All right. The last game of day 2, we've got London going up against Houston. And Houston taking a little bit of a nosedive in Stage 2. We're all picking London in this match because of that. Houston, we're talking about struggling to find their identity with Boston. Houston, kind of in the same boat. And we're all hoping that they pull something out and turn their team around in Stage 3. But are they going to do that in time for their London game? Probably not. So we're going London.
I will say, though, London has only lost to one team more than once. And that one team is Houston. Houston has beaten them twice in regular season matches. It was the only time that London beat them was in the Stage 1 playoffs.
I'm a little beat up about it. I was jumping on the Houston bandwagon at the beginning of Stage 2, and then they nosedived hard.
Alright, to start off day 3, we had the Gladiators going up against Dallas, and we all liked seeing Siegel out there on the field, and it did look like it helped Dallas a lot. That being said, Fissure, end of story. Gladiators win.
No contest.
On to Game 2 of Day 3 of Week 1, Stage 3. We'll have Valiant up against Shanghai. And as much as we want Shanghai to win, we just don't think they can quite do it against the Valiant. However, I do give them a shot in this game. That's the Shanghai, of course. Just because Shanghai's possibly going to have a good team coming out with these new pickups. And Valiant is nosediving hard between losing players and having team fights and just losing a coach, and they just nosedived hard. I could see them possibly throwing this match. However, we all picked Valiant to win it.
Pours on the reasons for why Shanghai is going to win and then breaks your heart and says, nope, it's going to be Valiant.
Sorry, Shanghai fans.
All right, moving on to Game 3 of the same day, we've got Seoul versus San Francisco Shock. And San Francisco is doing better. I mean, we really liked their play of their tank Nami, but they're going up against Seoul, the kings of adaptation, and I don't think that San Francisco is going to be able to pull it out, and neither does anyone else, so we're all going Seoul.
Kicking off our last day of Stage 3 Week 1, we have Florida taking on Philly, and like I said before, Florida is much improved, but they're going up against quite arguably one of the top 3 teams in the entire league. Across the board, we all took Philly.
On to Game 2 of our Saturday matchups. We will have Houston up against Boston. And yet again, we're split.
Surprise, surprise.
This time I feel a little bit better about my pick, since Houston's been nosediving and Boston's been going up. The only thing that scares me is that Houston has a really good Junkrat, which is an anti-dive character. And we all know how much Boston loves to dive. But I'm still picking Boston.
Oh, I would just like to point out that Houston did end on a rather high note to end Stage 2. They 4-0'd the Dragons, but I mean, let's be honest, who didn't see that coming? But then they beat Seoul. So, who knows what's going to actually happen with this team in this stage? They're kind of like, for me, they're kind of like Boston. They're getting some wins, but which of them are actually meaningful and which of them are just actual dumb luck? So we'll see what happens with these guys.
Yeah, for me with this game, if there's one thing I've learned in this league, it's do not bet against hungry teams. That hunger, seriously, I've watched it pull out so many games, and you can go look at my missed predictions in the last stage and Stage 1. It was because I misjudged the human elements of their teams, and I think Houston has a lot of that riding for them right now, along with their obvious raw talent on their team. So I think that Boston is going to have a really hard time, especially against a team who knows how to play against dive.
I'm just hoping what you told me earlier about Jake kind of being a little bit too much forward in the interview on today might disrupt the teamwork.
You can always hope. All right, on to our last game of the week. We've got New York versus London, and do not bet against London when they're playing against the top teams in the league. For some reason, they just always frickin' win. So we are split, though. We are split. Kinky and I are going for London, and Nova's going for New York. So I'm going for London a little bit because I'm a fanboy, but also because they play really well against New York, and Seoul for that matter, in the top end of the league, but they particularly play well against New York. So I'm really just calling London because of that.
I'll take that bet.
London is the best all-Korean roster, period. I don't know why they struggle against mediocre teams sometimes. It just kind of happens. It's like when the Patriots lose to the Browns. No offense, Josh.
Like that would happen.
I mean, that's just how it is. Like, they show up when it matters most, but when it's kind of like a lax week, they're kind of just like, oh my God, we have to do something, guys.
Yeah, listen, I'll take that bet based on how New York's been playing. This is probably match of the week, throwing that out there, but I got to pull with New York just based on their performance from the end of last stage. I think they can do it, and it's going to help me win against Radhead. All right, everyone. Those are our picks for the week. Let us know in the comments below if you disagree with us anywhere. Let us know that Radhead is wrong. And throw any other comments below. Make sure to hit that like button.
Yeah, make sure you say Boston sucks.
You can say that if you like, even though it's not true. Also, hit that subscribe button so you can get these videos every week. We drop them Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern. That's 2 hours before game time. We also have plenty of other Overwatch League coverage for you, as well as other coverage from many other games. Take care, everyone, and get good, scrubs.
Thanks for watching.
See you in the next one.
If you like our coverage of the Overwatch League, let us know by liking and subscribing. And if you didn't, let us know why in the comments below. Maybe we can make it better. Thanks for watching, everyone.